Hello everyone, welcome to City Talk. I'm Thermice Bevelle. A vacant graffiti-ridden apartment complex along Martin Luther King Jr. Drive is gone. The city tore it down.
I'm confident that tearing down this eyesore will help strengthen this neighborhood that for too long has been negatively impacted by what stands here right now.
The truth is, as we tear this complex down, we are reducing crime by just that action.
And that is what residents and business owners along this stretch of Martin Luther King Jr. Drive in Southwest Atlanta have been waiting for. Today, the long-abandoned Essex Court Apartments, which is highly visible from one of Atlanta's major interstates, is being demolished.
Well, it'll be very transforming to this particular community here because you would have a vacant property that is known to have vagrants, known to have drug activity, known to have prostitution activity, and all in an area where there's viable businesses.
City Council member C.T. Martin was joined by Mayor Kasim Reed and other city officials in heralding the tearing down of these vacant eyesores that sit on the street named for the city's national hero.
Since 2003, the city of Atlanta at this site alone has made more than 30 case entries related to code violations here. So the neighborhood has suffered.
Martin says it has been a decade-long battle to get these buildings torn down.
I think it'll be a great feeling that we are going to be able to do something. They've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and I think they have basically given up. And so I think this will be a rejuvenation.
And just in this corridor, there's over 350 to 375 active businesses in this corridor on an annual basis. One of our biggest things this year is to improve the conditions of MLK, because when we improve the visible conditions of MLK, then we make it more attractive for other merchants and other businesses to move onto the corridor, which increases our viability.
The demolition of these apartments is the continuation of an ongoing effort by Mayor Reed to get rid of abandoned and blighted properties.
The code enforcement section is now able to move with deliberate control in resolving housing code violations throughout the city, and this has allowed us to clear a backlog of more than 5,000 cases. Our city is sending a clear message that blighted properties are not going to be tolerated.
The cost to demolish the apartments is being paid by J.P. Morgan Chase Bank and property owners, saving the city about $250,000. The city saves millions of dollars with new benefits contracts. The Atlanta City Council approved new 3-year employee health plans for medical, dental, vision, life, and voluntary insurance. Reductions in overall health care rates mark the first time that 1 year's rates were lower than those from a previous year. In fiscal year 2013, the city will save the original $4.3 million budgeted increase and an additional $3.2 million in premium cost reduction for a total savings of $7.5 million. The contracts cover health benefits for more than 19,000 employees, retirees, and dependents. The City of Atlanta has a new Chief Operating Officer. The City Council confirmed Mayor Kasim Reed's nomination of Doria Faruqi. Faruqi previously held the post of deputy under former COO Peter Amon and served as interim Chief Operating Officer for several months. She began her career with the city in the finance department. The Reed administration credits her for playing a leading role in the efforts to reform the city's unfunded pension liability, a move that is projected to save Atlanta $500 million over 30 years. Our very own Kelvin Cochran is Fire Chief of the Year. Councilmember Ivory Lee Young Jr. recognized Chief Cochran's achievements with a reception and proclamation. Fire Chief Magazine named Cochran Chief of the Year because of his dedication and leadership in fire and emergency services.
Well, I was completely shocked because the first thing that came to my mind was how many of my friends and colleagues in the fire service who are fire chiefs that I felt were more deserving.
Under Cochran's leadership, Atlanta Fire Rescue has seen dramatic improvements in response times and staffing. Chief Cochran has 31 years of fire service experience. Atlanta Police and Fire pay tribute to lives lost on September 11, 2001. The ceremony at the Public Safety Headquarters included Police Chief George Turner, Public Safety Committee Chair Michael Bond, and Fire Chief Cochran. Chief Cochran reminded police and firefighters of their sacred duty to the public and reflected on their chosen profession.
the greatest honor in our proud profession is living together as brothers and sisters in the line of duty. So let us never forget.
It has been 11 years since the terror attacks. A former shoe factory turned residential community enjoys the fruits of a recent renovation. Mayor Reed is seen here taking a tour of the O'Hearn House. The agency houses and rehabilitates homeless adults with mental health issues. O'Hearn residents are referred to the house from homeless shelters across the city. The mayor was also there to reiterate his commitment to the homeless population of Atlanta. The city's Innovation Delivery Team director was on hand as well. One of the duties of that team is to promote solutions for the homeless. The O'Hearn House has been in operation since 1993, and it recently underwent a 9-month renovation. On the agenda, higher tax rates on blighted properties. Atlanta is saddled with thousands of vacant and dilapidated properties, especially in southeast and southwest Atlanta. Councilwoman Joyce Shepard and city officials went to Griffin, Georgia to take a look at their laws. Griffin raised taxes on blighted properties in 2009 because of the higher demands they create on government services. The legislation is still pending. Shepard says they will continue brainstorming. You can lend a hand to keep public spaces clean. The Department of Public Works has the Adopt a Spot program, which allows individuals, community groups, and others to maintain public spaces. You can select an area that has a need for litter reduction and clean and maintain that spot for 1 year. Any portion of the city's public right-of-way is eligible for adoption, including traffic islands, medians, and city-owned lots. These folks were in Edgewood. Adopt a Spot is an initiative by the Department of Public Works and Keep Atlanta Beautiful. East Atlanta, it's time to strut your stuff. The Strut is a huge party in the heart of East Atlanta where people have a good time, support local businesses, and raise money for nonprofit groups and civic organizations. Council members Archibong and Smith were judges for the parade, which included kids, floats, marchers, and strutting with groups to celebrate birthdays, anniversaries, or other milestones. The one-day extravaganza is planned, organized, and staffed by volunteers. The annual event promotes East Atlanta neighborhoods and businesses. The public has to wait a little longer to see plans for fixing the Buckhead Triangle. Some college football fans raise money for a worthy military cause. And a new Walmart brings jobs, fresh produce, and growth to Vine City. Councilman Young shares his thoughts on what this means for the community. Stay with us. The Now Hiring sign is up on the west side of town, thanks to a brand new Walmart. The historic Westside Village Walmart Supercenter needs about 150 people for its Vine City store. Besides jobs and tax revenue, the new Walmart means growth and renewed optimism on the west side. For English Avenue and Vine City residents, this is also about access to fresh groceries. There will also be in-store services like a money center and a pharmacy, and APD plays a part.
We will also have a precinct that's tied to the Walmart and that will support that immediate commercial area, but also the neighborhoods that surround it.
Walmart spent about $4.25 million to build the Supercenter at the old Publix location on MLK. The store is expected to open in January. Councilman Ivory Lee Young Jr. is with us today to talk about that Walmart. Councilman, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
With the economy the way that it is, it's good to see that this Walmart is bringing jobs.
Well, every community needs access to fresh foods and produce, and this neighborhood is no different. We welcome the Walmart enthusiastically because it not only brings fresh produce and foods, but also jobs.
And the police department will be nearby?
There is a precinct that is planned for the Westside Village. We've also made investments in new cameras that not only serve the historic Westside Village, but are intended to be expanded to tie into the police department's video surveillance headquarters for the remainder of our district, so that the hot spots and troubled areas that we have in other places in District 3 will also be camera ready.
Also for Vine City, Atlanta has a 50-year contract with the National Monument Foundation for construction of Mims Park. This will be 16 acres that the foundation will develop, maintain, and manage at no cost to the city. Tell us a little bit about that.
A descendant of Livingston Mims, Rodney Mims Cook, the president of the National Monuments Foundation, has offered to District 3 a brand new park. This park will have all of the features that the original park had in terms of historically, but it will also have unique historical significance for the monuments that bring to life historical figures that have played a significant role in the history of not only Atlanta City Council District 3, but the civil rights movement. And so it is thought that at the completion, this, again, over $50 million estimated investment will serve as a catalyst to boost tourism, create new jobs, and provide much needed green space where we have a deficit in District 3.
The Georgia Dome, what are your thoughts on a new stadium?
Back in the late 80s when the original dome was built, that dome eradicated neighborhoods, properties were condemned. There was a dramatic impact as a result of the implementation of the dome. And I'm at least encouraged to know that the World Congress Center, Georgia Dome, and the Atlanta Falcons are being very thoughtful to limit and minimize the impacts of this new stadium on the existing neighborhoods. We have taken very strong positions in the community that I for one, am supportive of a new stadium. The Atlanta Falcons and the investment that's made by the patrons that come to visit the Georgia Dome cannot be underestimated in terms of its impact, not just to the Central Business District, but in a number of cases, when you frequent the Dome, you'll see residents of Atlanta City Council District 3 and other neighboring communities that actually work at the World Congress Center and the Georgia Dome. But I also submit to you that the efforts that were made back in the late 80s with the original Dome ought not be forgotten, and that there should be extraordinary effort to not only minimize the impacts to neighborhoods, but maximize the investment that comes from profits and revitalization toward helping boost and promote the redevelopment of human capital in the community.
Councilman Young, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thanks for having me.
Giving back to the community is the focus of Luda Day weekend. City Council President Caesar Mitchell recognized the annual event that highlights local charities in Atlanta. Ludacris started the event 7 years ago to support and educate youth about the benefits of a healthy lifestyle, responsible dating, and greener communities. A new arts initiative connects organizations with potential donors by helping them raise money for programs. The annual Wheelbarrow Festival brings food, good music, and arts and crafts. And food truck operators gear up for their big event. Back in a moment. A new program in Atlanta helps the arts through crowd-sourced funding. City Talk's Troy Danicus tells us how some arts organizations are jumping at the chance to have their programs funded by their fans.
Samir, make sure you follow the hand back.
It's 9 a.m. at the Atlanta Ballet's Center for Dance Education in Marietta. These dancers are members of Full Radius Dance, one of the arts programs that is seeking funding through the Power to Give campaign. It's no ordinary dance company.
Heads up, find your corner.
Full Radius Dance incorporates disabled dancers into their performances. It's a unique concept founded by artistic and executive director Douglas Scott.
Audiences, sometimes they're very wary when they come into our concerts because they think they're going to be experiencing physical therapy. But after the first minute on stage, minds are open, their hearts are open to see that, you know, we're all the same.
Scott hopes to raise enough money through Power to Give to continue to fund free performances for disabled adults and children. That mission is personal for dancer Laurel Lawson. Disabled since birth, she says her parents had to fight to give her access to experiences that able-bodied kids sometimes take for granted. Laurel says sometimes disabled kids are unintentionally made to feel helpless by those around them.
Children with disabilities are often protected by their parents. They're protected by their therapists, by their teachers. Don't pick that up, it's too heavy for you. Oh, don't go fast, you might get hurt.
But after seeing a performance by Full Radius Dance,
it really opens children's eyes to the physical possibilities that exist in their bodies.
Cultural Affairs Director Camille Love says she knows firsthand how art can change one's perspective about the world around them.
It has made me a better individual. It has caused me to be more curious about the world. And I think that the arts really help us have a better understanding of one another.
At Carver High School of the Arts, harpist Carolyn Lunn leads her class through afternoon warm-up exercises. Carolyn is the artistic director for the Urban Youth Harp Ensemble. She teaches about 50 students throughout the day.
1, 2, 3, and 4, and that's it. Okay.
Carolyn knows that not every student will become a professional harpist or even develop an affinity for the instrument, but she says music studies can play a deeper role in students' lives.
It's more about introducing them to such a unique thing in their life, developing skills like public speaking, performing, discipline.
15-year-old Donovan Howard was introduced to the ensemble 3 years ago and took to the harp immediately. He has already attended the prestigious Interlochen Summer Program for harpists in Michigan, and he plans to further his studies in college.
It's a very unique sound. The resonance of the harp is not something you would find in a lot of other instruments.
Crowdsourced funding like Power to Give is exposing young artists like Donovan to new audiences all over the country.
We've had these donors seriously come from across the country because this harp program is such a unique thing.
And the ability to tap donors outside of a program's immediate area is music to these artists' ears. I'm Troy Danicus for City Talk.
For more information on the Power to Give campaign and how your organization can get involved, visit powertogive.org. About 3,000 Atlanta Public School students take a break from classes to see The King and I. A donation from Theater of the Stars allowed these 8th graders to attend the musical production. It's part of the city's Cultural Experience Project, which exposes APS students to the fine arts. Many of the kids were excited to see the play and make the outside world their classroom.
I think it's really good that they brought us here to, experience different things that other people can't teach us.
Some of the other events on tap for the Cultural Experience Project: the Atlanta Ballet's Nutcracker and a visit to the High Museum. College football season is in full swing, and for many fans, that means rivalries bordering on full-out war. But these Clemson and Auburn fans came together for a tailgate to help the Shepherd Center raise money for their Share Military Initiative. The initiative helps vets returning from Iraq or Afghanistan who have sustained both physical and emotional trauma.
It's just a great way to support a great cause, support our troops coming home that have defended our freedom, and help out a great hospital here in Atlanta.
The Shepherd Center is one of the nation's leading brain and spinal cord injury hospitals. Clemson fans were happy after that game. They beat Auburn 26-19. Atlantans love their festivals, and residents of Reynoldstown are no exception. The neighborhood got together for the annual Wheelbarrow Festival. The festival kicked off with a 5K run, followed by tasty food, good music, and displays of art for sale. The president of the Reynoldstown Civic Improvement League says events like this bring neighbors closer together.
We come out, meet our neighbors, get to know our neighbors, have a good run in the morning, a 5K run in the morning, and just generally enjoy the neighborhood that we live in.
Face painting and arts and crafts kept the kids busy as well. Buckhead Triangle proposals are on hold. Improvement plans to fix the intersection where Peachtree, Roswell, and Paces Ferry roads meet are not ready for public viewing. The Buckhead Community Improvement District's executive director says any public meetings at this point are premature. Consultants are still studying the misaligned roads. For example, East Paces Ferry Road does not line up with West Paces Ferry Road when it crosses Peachtree. They also have to consider additional changes that the Buckhead Atlanta development may cause on the strained intersection. The Chastain Park Conservancy is looking at ways to widen and pay for a path foundation trail. There was money from the penny sales tax for regional transportation projects dedicated to Chastain's trail, but voters rejected that referendum back in July. The Conservancy has raised most of the money and needs about $80,000 more to conduct an initial study. The trail is 10 feet wide in most places, but narrows to 4 feet along Powers Ferry Road, and users sometimes have to dodge golf balls from the North Fulton Golf Course. The Path Foundation says 250 joggers, bikers, walkers, and rollerbladers use the 3-mile trail every hour. Phase 1 of the Atlanta Beltline is almost finished. Construction on the East Side Trail, which stretches from 10th and Monroe in Midtown to the border of Inman Park and the Old Fourth Ward, should be ready before the trail dedication. After numerous delays, it's nice and leveled now, and it'll be great for running, biking, skating, and other outdoor activities. Trees Atlanta and Hartsfield-Jackson have a unique way of mowing the lawn. Sheep. The world's busiest airport has a lot of grass to cut, so they invited 100 grazing sheep to control vegetation. This past summer, the herd munched on kudzu in other parts of the city. The Office of Cultural Affairs kicks off the Elevate Downtown Arts program. It's an assortment of public arts exhibits along the streets of downtown Atlanta. The event features innovative projects by local, national, and international artists. The exhibition runs October 19th through the 27th. It's free and open to the public. To keep up with Atlanta city government, tune in to ATL 26. City Channel 26 gives you a seat at the table for all of the important stuff at City Hall. And you can always email us, send your questions or comments to citytalk@atlantagA.gov. Go APS, cheering on Atlanta Public Schools, a pep rally to boost school spirit. And rain didn't stop these folks. The Battle of the Burgers is back again this year. That's next. A health summit raises awareness of early detection and prevention of prostate cancer and other health issues. Hundreds of men filled the Georgia World Congress Center for a checkup. Various medical professionals and healthcare representatives were on site to provide a number of different screenings and tests. The program's goal is to encourage men to make healthy lifestyle choices as well as address their healthcare needs. Food trucks can be seen all over the city these days, and the Atlanta Food Truck Park is the nexus for this growing industry. Organizers for Taste of Atlanta are throwing a food truck night ahead of their big event in October. Operator Desmond Brown says the food trucks are a unique way to give customers a variety of options.
Every day they can come down here and they know a different variety of trucks will be here. You got plenty of options, a lot of different types of food, so it's a win-win for everybody involved.
The food truck park is located off Howell Mill Road, just north of the interstate. Nothing like a pep rally to get things going. Councilman H. Lamar Willis hosted the bash to motivate Atlanta Public School students to stay focused and have a great school year.
What we hope for them is that they will see that it only gets better, the higher they achieve and the more they excel, that life only gets better. And so we want them to see that and feel that excitement. And so as they see it, then they want to be it.
The pep rally was at Young Middle School. Comic book icon Stan Lee takes time out of his busy schedule to make an appearance at Dragon Con. Channel 26 cameras catch him signing an autograph for a fan. The festival is dedicated to science fiction, fantasy, and everything in between. Thousands of fans show up every year for the parade, and this year was no different. Some Morehouse students now have a better understanding of what it takes to make it in the film industry. Director Spike Lee was on campus to promote his new film, Red Hook Summer. Lee talked about his journey to becoming a filmmaker. He also said you might have to endure several years of hardship before finding true success.
It might not happen, but if you have that drive and that commitment and that love of what you're doing, you're going to keep at it till you're successful.
Red Hook Summer is the story of a Brooklyn youth who spends the summer in the South with his evangelical grandfather, who he barely knows. Embraced is a local nonprofit organization that supplies prosthetics to those in need. To fulfill that need, the group holds a Battle of the Burgers competition to attract hundreds of helpful people who also want to feed their appetites with gourmet burgers. Raul Alvarez says the bad weather could not stop this crowd.
It's been good. It's been great. Rain, bummed us a little bit. But, as you can see, people didn't really care much about the rain. We still got people, coming in, having some fun. The band just started playing again. So it's a good day.
This is the Battle of the Burgers' second year. The City of Atlanta has online services available to make doing business with the city a little easier. On our website, you can pay water bills, municipal court citations, parking tickets, and apply for permits. Atlanta's list of online services will continue to grow as the city strives to identify more opportunities to provide access to government services via the internet. For a full list of online services, visit our website at atlantagA.gov. Thank you for watching City Talk. I'm Thermice Bevelle.